saying there's no ship that's designed to sink except for a partnership. And why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I'll tell you one of my personal rules about partners is I never invite a partner that doesn't bring something unique to the table. I've learned that a long time ago, and that I'm happy to share with other people. And that something unique to the table might be money. It might be capital. It might be some particular market or client base or whatever. But what ends up happening is people get together and they come up with ideas, and if one person in that group doesn't really bring value, they're dead weight. And it sounds very cutthroat, but it's true. They are, and ultimately that will cause problems. I don't think partnerships in and of themselves are necessarily doomed for failure. I don't mean that, because obviously I have done many, and I am involved in partnerships. I think the key to making them work is having a good sense of the value that each person brings to the table and making sure that they're wearing the correct hat.
So the mistake that they would make in entering into a partnership is not identifying roles and who's doing what?
Correct. That's the first part, the roles. The second part is the idea of delegating to the right people to run the company. I mean, that's one of the things that's cool about a corporation is I could be an investor in it and I could be on the board, but I don't have to run it. And I probably shouldn't run it. I mean, one of the things that sinks partnerships is you have too many chefs in the kitchen. And one of the great things about a corporation is there's one CEO. You're a CEO and I'm a CEO. We're ultimately responsible for the operating decisions of the company, and we get to make the call. Now, we are accountable to our board of directors, whoever that is. It might just be me and you, but it's in the end, you can allocate that and you can hold someone accountable to those day-to-day operating decisions.
Back on what you were saying earlier, it sounds like a lot of what could be partnerships, we could avoid that just to going to an LLC and having clearly defined roles.
Yeah, good question. We have done it. I mean, we have written partnership agreements for people on occasion for real small enterprises, just to help them specify the rights and obligations of who's doing what, right? More than likely, if they're at a point where they're big enough to consider that level of formality, it's a good idea probably to make that jump to an LLC or a corporation, depending on what's going on. Oftentimes, somebody comes in and they say, "Oh yeah, we want to be partners or whatever." Usually, there's a money guy, and there's an operating guy. And the operating guy, they like to call the sweat equity guy, which is a little bit of a fallacy. Like you can't actually get ownership in a company for something you haven't done yet. You can get it for something you've already done, or for cash. But the concept of sweat equity is not, consistent with the way the law works. So figuring out, who's going to be what, and there is such thing as a limited partnership too, which is a really handy tool for organizations as they get larger, where we could say, you already have limited liability. You're an LLC. I'm a corporation. How would we partner together? Well, we'd probably form a limited partnership, or we might do a general partnership because we're not worried about limited liability. We could just write a contract between the two companies. So those, you're starting to get into beyond business planning 101, and now we're talking like business planning 102. Like, what if we're going to set up a series of stores across the state, or we're going to open up a bunch of restaurant franchises? How do we structure that? Well, sometimes a limited partnership is a really handy way to do it, because we can have a corporation that's the general partner that takes all the risk, and then the investors are the limited partners. And you could have a limited partnership for each store, because I might have different investors in each store by location. We set up limited partnerships for our ag families sometimes, where the limited partners are all of the kids, where the partnership owns the land, the ag land, and the 4 kids are equal limited partners, but there's one kid that runs the farm, and the farming operation is a corporation that is the general partner, and it controls the leases, and that way he doesn't have to fight with his siblings for the deal, and for the leasing deal with the farming operation. So lots of good reasons to do some of those more advanced structures later on. That's definitely lawyer stuff.